Okay, so I'm going to start setting up my new front book, the one that I'm going to put into my setup in the front here when this book is all finished. I talked about this in my previous video that I did like an hour ago, so I'm not going to repeat too much from that one. I always start by removing these because I don't use them and they're just in the way. Okay, so this will be my December book and probably half of January, and I'll probably start it not next week but the week after that, so week 47. So 1 week in November and 5 weeks in December. So 6 weeks. Let's see how that works. Normally it would be between 4 and 5 weeks. So let's see if I have my calendar here. Should I write this down? Yes. Oh. Happening. Maybe just half of it actually. So calendar spread here for December. Then I will count out my weekly spreads. And first, I need 6 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is week 52 weeks this year. I'm thinking while I'm doing this, and this is week 47. Because I think I'm going to change some things about my weekly setups. I mean, this is going to be the same, but I'm thinking I have these on every other spread. I prep the left side so that I can write memories, and I do like the look of this, but I don't like having to make this pretty. I mean, I would like to just abandon my weeklies when they're done. Like these are just, what do you say, like disposable pages. And yes, I mean, I can paint over them, but it's that feeling of having to paint over them and having to make it pretty, that just like this, I have to glue something in here, I have to glue something on top of this, and I don't know what, and I don't feel like it because I do all of that stuff in the journaling section. So I think perhaps my planning pages should be purely for planning, and I don't, I shouldn't have like this obligation to make it pretty afterwards, because I could do this setup where I do my memory keeping in the journaling section, so that every time there's a new week I can prepare a grid like that, like Monday, Tuesday and so on, put the dates and fill in my memories. I don't have to have them in my monthly booklets. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm gonna try that. So that means I won't have to, calculate for a page of memories, which means I might not need as many pages in my new setup. So I'm gonna have to think about this. I mean, this means that every page, every spread in the new book will be a weekly spread, and I won't have these memory keeping pages every other spread. But the thing is that I need my weekly and I need my brain dump. Brain dump. And I need pages for next actions. And possibly like dailies. Sometimes I write dailies when the weekly is really cluttered and I'm confused and need to just structure everything and time block. So what I'm trying to decide is whether to keep having 2 spreads per week or not. Because what I did before I did it that way was to have first all the weeklies and then spreads for next actions divided by weeks. I might go back to that, but I'm gonna check how many spreads I have in the signature, because I don't want to use up more than 1 signature. Let's put a tab here so I know what I'm doing. So this is the bit that can be taken out. This is sort of glued to the next page. Between every... No, wait. There was another page that was sort of loose, because this next one is glued, can you see that? To the next page. So they're sort of like they encompass the signatures. Between each signature there are 2 pages that are sort of glued both to the spine, to the bit of fabric back here, and to each other. So between each signature these 2 pages aren't as easy to pull out. So I'm thinking that will be a part of the journaling section, because I don't want to rip anything when I take out my signature, my monthly booklet. So these are the only pages I can use. So I'm going to mark the final page I'm allowed to use, or the final page that will that I can take out of this book when I'm done with it, because that's what I'm going to do. I talked about that in my previous video, that I'm going to, when I'm done with the month, the planning part, I will take it out and put in a new signature for the next month, so that the planning pages are always in the front and the journaling is separate. Whew. Well, that's the plan anyway. So let's see. This is what I'll keep afterwards. So the calendar spread I won't keep that. I will paint over the front and probably make a sort of... No, I don't know. Maybe I will just chuck these pages when I'm done, because what they will look like if I don't paint over them is, well, you just saw it. This is what a week looks like when I'm done with it, and this isn't worth keeping, is it? What I could do... Think. You know, because up till now, these booklets have been part of my like journaling and memory keeping. So I've tried to paint over and put pictures and pretty memories on these pages, so that they're a part of the pretty journaling section in the end. But that means that, because, you know, this page, I can't paint over it until the month is done. And each of these weekly spreads, I can't paint over them until the week is done. Which means that I sort of gather all these pages that need processing and embellishing at the end of weeks and end of months. And I don't really feel like working on them, because I'm sort of done with all that. I prefer to sort of well, look forward. So everything to do with painting and drawing and embellishing, I prefer to do that in the journaling section, you know, turning to the next blank page to do that instead of going back, like, and do it over last week's messy planning. So, yes, what I'm saying is that, what am I saying? I don't know anymore. I was so sure of what I was going to do, and now I have no idea. It might be that I will just, when I'm done with the month's planning, maybe I'll just rip it out and chuck it. And keep all my memories in the journaling section. Is that, I mean, well, I don't know yet, but that might be my decision. Okay, so I have 6 spreads for the weeks. Then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So it's actually perfect for 6 weeks because this final page, this is where I keep my trackers at the back of the booklet here. So, yes, that will work. Let's just see how I can mark it. Don't I have any? Okay, I'll put this here. This will be glued in the December tracker to mark that. That's what I will do here. So, okay, next practical step is to make the Dutch doors, which means that this one will be folded. I'll just check to see how broad I've made them. 3 centimeters, 3.5. Well, 3.5. Okay, 3.5 seems to be the consensus here. So that means about here. So the margin, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes. And this page will just be folded because I always fold my calendar page so that Saturday and Sunday aren't visible unless I fold it out. So I only see my working week, and from my weekly spreads I see the weekly boxes. So don't make the mistake of cutting this instead of folding it on the calendar spread. And there we go. This is where December calendar will go. This will be week 47, and I actually think it would be easier to use like a craft knife for this, but then I need to cover the pages underneath. Let's see. Oh no, I don't want to cut that up either. Do I have anything here that I don't mind cutting up? Well, I'm sorry, I am so unprepared. Help! Okay, this one. Perfect. So I'll leave this page intact because it's gonna house the tracker and the weekly boxes, but this one I will cut. So all of these pages I will cut up. I've never done it like this, so I'm really setting myself up for a catastrophe. Let's see if I can keep this in place while I cut. I'm just thinking this will be quicker than cutting with a pair of scissors, and perhaps more accurate. Like, I'm really bad with scissors. It tends not to be cut straight. I feel like Monique Smith cutting down her books. And I wouldn't do this unless I had watched her channel. It really is, I mean, it's so inspiring. And I don't really know why, but I think it's very down to earth, and she posts almost every day, sometimes several times a day, and it's just she chats about her planners and her setups, and it's so relaxing and inspiring. Okay, so now I have my signature, these are sort of the cover pages, and these are the pages I'll use for weeklies and next actions, and possibly dailies as well. We'll see. So my journaling starts here on page 27, and the rest of this will be journaling. And when December is done, I will take this out and decide what to do with it, and put in another signature that will house January. So my original plan was to go to the middle of the book, which must be right around here, page 125, since there are 250 pages, and make my January booklet here. But I'll use up more pages for my journaling, I think. So I'm keeping things open. If I get to this place and think, well, I actually want my January booklet here, I can do that. But as I've used exactly one signature in the front for my December booklet, I can decide to take that out and put my January booklet there. So I have options. I always like having options. Yeah, so the next step is to prepare the journaling pages and start embellishing them with Christmassy stuff. And in my current book, I have left a lot of pages blank because I have started trying to develop my drawing. But the thing is, I've been drawing like 4 faces a day, which is a lot. I think, I mean, if I continue at this pace, I will use up a whole Leuchtturm just for drawing faces in December, which feels like a waste because they are sort of disposable. Some of them turn out not so great, so why use precious Leuchtturm paper for them? Plus, I'm not sure I like having them on these dotted pages, because when I bought these new Leuchtturms, I thought, well, I didn't buy blank ones, basically, because I didn't think I was going to draw this much. So I'm thinking I might draw in another book, which, you know, I want to, my main goal is to gather everything in the same book. That's why it's so thick and has all my plans and all my doodling and stuff. But this drawing thing is just taking over my life at the moment, so maybe I should relegate it to something else. So today I bought a couple of secondhand novels that I don't have with me here. But you know what books look like, don't you? We'll just take something else here. To, you know, just to explain what I'm planning to do. I'm going to use used novels, secondhand novels, and draw in them. And you know, draw on top of the writing, because they are books that nobody wants to begin with, and I'm not a stranger to ruining books, as you might know if you've been watching my channel, and you can debate that, but that's for another video. But, you know, when you want disposable paper for drawing, practicing to draw, it's perfect, because you don't have to be afraid of the empty page, because it's not empty. I mean, if your drawing turns out atrocious, it doesn't matter, because it's on waste paper anyway, and it's ruined by the writing. And say that it turns out quite nice, like this one I'm quite pleased with. Her eyes are not, they're a bit wonky, but otherwise I like the structure of her face and all that. If it turns out great, maybe it looks kind of interesting to have the writing underneath. I mean, it gives some extra texture, I guess. Interest. Maybe the text actually says something, and together with a face, it, you know, becomes something new, like a message of some kind. I don't know. But that's what I'm going to try to do. And first I thought, you know, why not use one of those novels as my planner book and put it as the front book, you know, here. And I might still do that, even though I've now, you know, started prepping this book. But it's an alternative. Like, there are some YouTubers who have, the past year they've been making like secondhand book bujos, but they've made bullet journals out of secondhand books, and I tried doing that, but then I fell off the wagon and just, you know, it looks really pretty. I love their work. 49 Dragonflies comes to mind. But I mean, that's one, you know, alternative to actually use a novel for the front book and glue like blank pages onto the pages where you're actually going to plan, and then the rest of the book is full of text, but you can paint over it, you can draw your faces and journal on top. It requires more prepping than a blank book, but it's, you know, it's an alternative, and I might still do that. I haven't. Actually, I'm going to go get it. Why not? Okay, so just instead of just talking about it, let's have a look. These are the books I got, which, you know, they're not the right size. I didn't have one of these with me so I could compare them. It's the right height. This one is narrower. Same with this one, I think. Yeah, a little bit, perhaps. This one is too big, but you could cut it down. So maybe this one would actually work really well if you cut it down. So my thinking is I draw my faces onto these, and like if I were to use this book, let's start with that one, for my, oh, these pages are already sort of ripped out. Let's see. Well, these signatures don't have as many pages as the Leuchtturm, so let's see. It has, I could fit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks into this, but thinking again, what if I mean, I could use this as the front book and use 2 signatures for my planning booklet. What would that look like? Would I have to skip a few pages because I'm using 2 signatures? I don't know. It depends. Maybe. I don't like that the first one is... If you don't like it, change it. This would be the calendar spread. This one. And where is... Just use one of these, but problem is that this book is narrower, so I don't have as much space for the calendar. That's a problem. Look. Yeah, no. That won't work, so I'll just use this one for drawing in general. What about this one? Might have to use this one and cut it down. The problem is, I realized now, is that there are no signatures. It's just glued, so you can't do the thing where you take out the signature after you're done. You can rip them out and then insert, like sew in a new signature for January. I don't know. I don't know. But if to use this, I would have to first draw a line like this and cut the book down so it fits the setup with my craft knife, like you saw me doing. Then I would remove the front cover so that I can glue it onto this, the inside of this cover, glue the first page. But then the back cover would be too big, so maybe I would have to cut that as well. It's also too thick, so I would have to perhaps cut it in the middle. That's what I would have to do. I would first cut the book in 2, glue it to the front of this cover, then cut down so it's the right size for the setup, and then it could work. But I'm not going to do that until I've decided exactly what I want to do with it, because I might just keep it as it is and use it as a sketch book, because I do like the size for sketching. It's perfect for a face, so it might be a bad idea to cut it down. So I'm just gonna check again if this really is too small. Say that I wanted to use this for my calendar. I would have to... it is a problem, unless I make Saturday and Sunday smaller. I should have brought this with me to the secondhand shop so that I knew what I was doing. Always a good idea. But actually, one thing I could do is to, let's see, this one would also have to be cut in two, so it's not too big. Let's just do it, because I mean, these are secondhand books. I don't have to be precious about them. This is, I know it's sacrilege, so some people will be traumatized by seeing this, and I appreciate that. I have no excuse, so I won't even try. Just cut up the spine as well. So now I'm just doing this to see if the idea I'm having would even work. This would be the front book in a new setup, so it would replace this one. But it's smaller, so what I need to do for the calendar spread, I would have to glue some of these together to make it more sturdy to begin with, because just hanging a book by this first page would be really asking for trouble. And you see I've also cut through that page, so it's not even intact. So start by gluing a few of these pages together so that they can bear the weight. There we go. 3 pages stuck together. Then, no, this would be glued to the inside of the cover, and the I'm really not being careful, but never mind. This would then be the calendar spread, and as I said, it's too narrow, but then I am going to, if I do this, I would, let's see, I would glue a piece of white paper because I want to be able to write on this. So I would have to glue something onto it anyway. And if you look, here we have leftover pages from an old Leuchtturm, so it's even got dots on it, which means that I would, okay, glue stick again. Yeah, this, I think this will work actually. It will be different, but so this book will start on page 168 apparently, because that's what the old page count says. Okay, so it's a bit, this novel is a bit like taller than the Leuchtturm pages. That's fine. But what I would do, oops, I glue this on. So I get, by gluing this on from a Leuchtturm, I get the right size. So it sticks out from the book. So most of the pages will be narrower than a Leuchtturm, but the pages that really count, and that's just 2 spreads actually, the calendar spread, which needs to, you know, house the days of the month and my weekly boxes. It's big enough. Let's see. One. Now I'm counting out the pages for the weeklies. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm gonna go with 6 weeks if I decide to do this in December, because I'll need 6 weeks. So 6 weeks and 6 additional spreads, 3, 4, 5, 6, that I can use for either next actions or memory keeping, depending on how, you know, what I decide to do. And now I've forgotten where I was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so this is 7, which means this is the page for whatchamacallit, trackers. So this one needs to be broader as well, because I have my home weekly boxes that stick out so I can see them when I'm on my weeklies. And probably this will feel a bit thin, like flimsy. Oh. Because it's sticking out from a book where most of the pages are much narrower, so it's just one tiny flimsy bit here that sticks out. So I might have to reinforce that with some like cardstock perhaps to back it here, so it doesn't, you know, bend too much. So if this was my front book, I should have another setup just to show you, because I don't want to take this off now because I'm still using it, but I would like to show you what it would look like. But if you imagine that this one isn't here, say that this is the front cover, I would glue this onto there. This would be my calendar page. These would be my weeklies, and this would be the tracker page. Actually, I can just, let's see. I'll just cut it down to really, you know, see what it would look like. Where did my makeshift mat go? Okay, so same thing again, just a different book. Cut down, oops, this is not going well. Cut the Dutch doors or the weeklies. This is really, it's a better way of doing it than using a scissors, because yeah, it's quicker. It's quicker and it gets, it's a, well, it's not perfect, but better. So, this would be folded so that Saturday and Sunday are inside. I would glue the calendar here, just like it's calendar here. Weeklies I would glue, or like white pages onto these so that I can write on them. Weeklies and next actions or something. Tracker at the back, and then journaling pages that I would need to prep. And maybe, I mean, if I use this secondhand book as my planner book, the front book in my setup, I could use these pages for drawing my faces. It wouldn't matter if I used up the whole book in half a month, because it was like $1.50 perhaps. So it's really not, yeah, it's waste paper basically. The downside, as I said, would be that I have to prep the pages if I want to like journal on them, write on them, because I mean this would be quite distracting. You could write this way and just let the text be there, because if you write this way you can still see what you're writing by hand. But I don't think I would like the look of that. I want my colors and my embellishments and stuff. So, right, now we have two different versions of my front book for December, and one is very like pretty and pristine, and the other one looks like a mess basically. But yeah, I might glue white pages onto these weekly Dutch doors just to see if it speaks to me. And if it doesn't, I'll keep it. Maybe in the future it will speak to me and I will use it in March or something. What I like about this version is that I'm not buying new stuff. I'm not like wasting expensive and newly produced paper for my ramblings and sketches, because I will make a lot of sketches, I hope. So, more sustainable, but easier to use, perhaps. So I guess I'll be back when I've decided which alternative I'll go with.